Oh, hello, everyone. It is a rainy Wednesday in Southern California, which we need the rain, so I'm not going to complain. But welcome to Beyond the Page. I am Jennifer Crosswhite, book coach and editor with Stephanie Fager, book marketing expert extraordinaire. And yes, I still love the virtual business card idea where we can change our titles every day because,
I love it.
some days you just need to be somebody different.
Yes, I would love that. And I think we should change it regularly. It's raining. Well, it's not raining here, Jen, but it looks like it could any minute. It's
Yeah,
it's gross.
it's it's one of those, of course, you get rain far more than we do.
Yeah.
But it's one of those days where I want to curl up in front of the fireplace and read a good book, and I really don't want to work today. And of course, I have to be out and about
Yeah, you
with
got places to go.
all the crazy California drivers who don't know how to drive in the rain because we never see it. And, so there'll be wrecks everywhere. So it should be fun. But to brighten my day, I'm wearing my little gingham orange
Oh, I
earrings.
love
Julian
them.
Sparrow Clay. They're
They're
adorable. Oh my
gorgeous.
gosh. I own way too many earrings from her. They're so cute. I can't resist.
They're so
Um,
cute. I haven't worn earrings in years because when I was pregnant and had my kiddos, they would like pull on them. And
oh,
so I
yes.
stopped wearing them. And so Lindy, my daughter, came home a couple weeks ago and she had her ears pierced, but they got infected and she didn't want to
Oh,
wear them
yeah.
anymore or whatever. So a friend of hers in her what are they called? American Heritage Girls, which is similar
Oh,
to
right.
Girl Scouts,
Yeah.
makes earrings. And so she brought these home because I don't think she wanted to hurt her feelings to say, I have no earring holes. She gave them to me. They're my
Aw,
favorite earrings, Jen.
I love it.
I
They're
know.
so
And so we
fun.
went to like a volunteer thing and I had them in because I
Mhm.
was doing something that day. I can't remember. And the little girl was like, those are my earrings.
Aw, it's
And
so
I'm like, oh my
sweet.
gosh, can I buy more from you, little entrepreneur? Like,
Right?
she's like, I don't sell
Yes.
them. I'm like, even better. Just pass them along.
Just
Yeah.
make some. Well, I was talking with another gal and we were saying we do so much video these days
Mm,
that it makes sense to wear earrings because it's kind of this little pop of color by your face and
yes.
it's a fun, easy way to do something with your outfit and it's just kind of fun. So
And
I
if you
love
get
all the
earrings
colors.
that are created in alignment with your book,
Ooh.
even cooler. I just did a podcast interview with an author who I think the interview will come out on the Empowered Author podcast this Friday. And she's a oh, Wendy, if you're watching, what are you? She is a engineer. And her
Okay.
book is about not engineering, but kind of. And so her book has gears on it.
Oh,
And so she
cool.
has earrings of
That's
gears.
awesome. I
And
love
she
that.
didn't even
I
have them
love it.
made. She went to a conference for women engineers and they were
Ah,
selling earrings. And I'm like,
that's the best.
they were so cute. And it's just a cool book marketing idea.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Well, before we hop into our subject today about themes, I will talk about book. This brought this up. So, as you all know, I've been talking about this book that I'm writing that may kill me. I'm
Mhm.
almost done. I've got about 8,000 words left.
That's awesome.
So my original goal was to have it done by Monday, and that obviously not happening. But I think it'll be done Saturday. So if
Mm.
the story doesn't go somewhere I don't expect, I've written myself into so many corners in this book. But I sent the first 65,000 words off to my team to start editing and going through
Mhm.
it, which I have never done before. I will tell you, this changes all the time. As many books, and this is book, I can't remember, 17, 16, something like that. Um,
That's amazing.
Everyone has been a little bit different. And I have never sent such a rough version. I usually always finish, go all the way through it at least one time before I send it off to my team. And so I send it off to them, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I have had this thing on pre order for a year because the first book came out and I
Mhm.
wanted the link in the back of the book so people could buy it. Never ever expecting it would take me a whole year to finish this book. Life has gotten in the way, and this it happens with authors all the time. Um, so I had to actually go to Amazon and ask for a 30-day delay because it was supposed to come out into November and it was not going to happen. So I pushed it to the end of December, which is actually, as you know, is a better release
Yep.
date. Anyways, nobody wants to release right after Thanksgiving. I had never
No.
planned to. I thought this would be done and be released last
No.
summer.
Right.
So that is just one of those things to say. And I tell this to my authors all the time. So I have to take my own advice. Life happens.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult to be creative when you're stressed out, when your limbic system is
Agreed.
activated. They're very
Agreed.
opposite. And this book has been a real struggle. Like I need 2,500 words a day to finish. And normally that's not a huge problem for me. But I mean, like yesterday, it took me till 2:00. Yeah, I started at 8. It took me that long. I had some interruptions and stuff, but it took me, it's like pulling teeth because it's a rushed, it's not my normal system.
Yeah, it doesn't
Everything's
feel
rushed. I need time to think about it. There's
Yeah.
a mystery, there's all those things.
Mhm.
And so I'm just telling myself to have grace with myself, like
Mhm.
with anything else. And I sent out a newsletter to my readers to say,
Mhm.
hey, if you pre-ordered, Amazon is going to be sending you a letter saying I pushed it out by 30 days. And here's what's happening, and let them
Mhm.
know what was going on. But I also reminded them, and that it ended up being, I think, a good movement in this case, was that I reminded them there's things they can be reading in the meantime. And because this is down in the series, this is book 2, there's a short story that has some clues to this that they should read. So I gave them the link to that. Of course, they could read the book that comes before. And then also there's a book way in the back, a novella, and I moved those characters into this, and they might want to know those character stories. So I gave them the link to that. I used our lovely book funnel that we've talked about. So
That's
I could
awesome.
just send them that and give them all those little fun goodies. So even though I had to deliver some bad news, I was able to deliver some good news as well. And here, make sure you grab these so you'll be all prepared for when it does
Mhm.
come out. And I got 2 more pre-orders, I noticed this morning, so that was okay.
Jen,
So
you're
that was
making
kind of
some
fun.
really good sugary lemonade over there.
Right, I'm trying. And I was thinking about it yesterday, and I thought, the most important thing here is that I stay in touch with my readers, that I let them know what's going on. They will understand. I have really fantastic readers. The funny thing was, I always have a little cat mischief section in my newsletters. And Raja, I think it was when I was coming to see you, Raja was sitting on my roller bag. She did not want me to go. She was not happy. And so I included that picture and was talking about, I've been traveling so much. And everyone's like, I mean, I got it. People responding, they responded only about Raja. Nobody so far responded about the delay in the book. But they were like, yeah, take Raja with you. I think that would be fun.
I love it. Well, but that's proof you're all worried about it.
Right.
And it is the rest of the world is okay. It's okay.
Fine.
They're okay with it.
Yeah.
You gave them something to chew, and I wouldn't be surprised if you don't get more book sales out of the deal in addition to the pre-order.
We're all human, right? And we all know what it's like to go through stuff. And so I think just having those personal relationships, the more I learn about this book marketing world, the more I realize developing those relationships with your readers, making them feel like they have access to you in a personal way is really huge. I mean, we love to buy, as you have said before, from people we know and like, right?
Yep.
We don't buy so much the product, but we're buying the person.
Yep.
And so that brand promise and what everybody feels like they're going to get from my books, a huge part of that is me that you get with that. And so I'm not for everybody, obviously, but the people that do love my stuff love having that access. And so I've got to get over my own perfectionistic tendencies and my desire to make my newsletter all perfect and whatever, and just shoot out a little update. So I'm trying to get past all of that. And so that's my learning process as well. Yeah. It's part of it doesn't end when you write the book, as you know. I mean, now you got a whole other thing. And once you start having a lot of books, they have a life of their own. I'm at a funeral last week with my mom. I took her to a funeral, and I think I'm going to hire her to be my marketing person. She's so funny. She's sitting there telling people, so have you read Jennifer's books? You got to start with protective custody. That's the first one. If you don't have it, let me know. I'll give it to you. But you can get it on Kindle. Like
that is about the sweetest thing on the planet.
I'm standing right there. And she's like,
It's uncomfortable as an author. It's like, dude.
yeah, it's the weirdest. And so she's like, and she does this to people like in the grocery store. She's one of those people like she's never met a stranger, right? She just talks
I would like your
to
mom.
everybody. Yeah, she talks to everybody everywhere, and so I just sort of laugh about that. But yeah, I mean, you're right there. And she's like, you should buy my daughter's books. I can't believe my daughter wrote this. I'm like, wait a minute, is that a compliment? I'm not sure.
That's amazing. That's
That
amazing.
is
Well,
funny.
So if you don't mind, I want to riff off of it because last
Yeah.
weekend I was at a 2-day book festival here in Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awesome. And I was sitting in what the festival peeps called the Author's Gauntlet, which had like 100 authors and tables.
Yes.
And I had, did you see the photo? I'll have to
I
show
saw
you.
the
Did you see the thing
picture.
that I had made? My little pop-up
Yeah.
thing and everything. It was
Yes.
so
very cool.
But I was walking around meeting all these amazing authors. Most of them were fiction. And I was uncovering so many tidbits of knowledge that that we all as authors are dealing with and have, but don't talk about out loud. Like there was one author, many of them were traditionally published, and a couple of them were talking about like their focus on book sales. And I just like inside I giggle, ha ha ha. Not really, but I like giggle.
Right.
I'm like, that is never in my opinion, Jen, should never be the only quantifier of success. Right. And then there was other people
control over it.
You had right. And there were other people who were talking about like they go to all of these things and they're not seeing the ROI or what. Like it was just interesting unpacking it. And then I had the pleasure of doing a really cool book marketing presentation twice there and had so much flipping fun. And my kids, for the first time, they came up and brought me lunch on Saturday to watch me do a presentation.
Oh, that's so cool.
No, it was so neat. I made a couple of jokes that they were a part of. And my husband said, Lindy, my daughter laughed, and my littlest, he was giggling. But it's neat because what I realize every time I talk to authors is everything you're saying, right? Like there's so much more that goes into the story. There's the amount of time it takes to put the story together. There's the grace we need to give ourselves. There's the behind the scenes person who is literally a human. We're not superhuman. We are doing the best we can to pull what has been gifted to us in our minds out into the paper. And it's hard. Like I shared with the attendees and, as you know, out of all the ways that we chose to spread a message, we picked the hardest one, Jen. We didn't pick the easy route. We picked the hard one. But it's worth it. It pays off in the long run.
It does. It really does. And I think that's one of the things you have to try to keep reminding yourself. And this is why it's so great to have other authors around you in community, because you get it. Other people don't really get it.
Exactly.
But like you and I, we've been going to a lot of conferences and retreats and things like that. And the reason that writers are so hungry for those is because just that connection with other people who are in the same boat as you are, it just makes it so much easier. In 2 weeks, I will be at the 20 Books Conference in Las Vegas, which is this big industry conference, 1,800 people and craziness. But
where is it going to be at? Which place in Vegas?
Bally's. At Bally's.
Oh, that must be a new place. When I went like a couple decades
ago. It's old. It's pretty old, and they're revamping it and calling it Horseshoe, something like that. It's a Caesar's property. It's right next to Paris.
Okay. I'm following. When we went, my husband and I stayed in the Pyramid. What's that one called?
Oh, yeah. The MGM.
No, it's across from MGM.
Oh, no, the Luxor. The Luxor. Yeah.
I wouldn't do it again.
I went in those crazy elevators that go sideways or whatever. Yeah, it's weird. That's weird.
It was weird. Yeah. It was weird, but it was fun. That's going to be amazing. I can't wait to hear the stories. I'm sure you'll come back with oodles of them.
It's so fun. And we're already talking with other authors about, okay, let's get together for dinner and let's, even though the conferences and the sessions, I mean, there's like 200 sessions, it's overwhelming.
Oh my gosh.
All the industry professionals are going to be there.
That's awesome.
You get a chance to talk with them. But what I'm looking forward to and what I always take away the most is that the dinners and the time with the other authors where you're just talking about what's going on, you're just chatting, all of that connection. That's the part that's the most important, really worthwhile. Yeah. I always meet some new author friend, and that's just always a huge part of it. Even though it's being away from home for a week is challenging, and the travel and all that kind of stuff. The prep and the comeback is always a challenge, but
Okay, so can
it's
I
always
introduce you
worth
to the
it.
friend that I met in this weekend?
Yes,
I met
show
lots
me.
of them. Actually, hold on. I met lots of them, but I'm going to share this one. This woman wrote this book, Falling Pieces. First of all, isn't that not the most beautiful
Ooh.
cover?
Wow, I love
Okay,
that.
and I didn't even know this about her. She just found me and started talking to me about book marketing, and then she attended one of my workshops where I asked everybody why they wrote a book, and she
Mhm.
shared with me that her husband was one of the first responders at 9/11 and died at 9/11, and her stories about that.
Wow.
And so then I look at her book cover with a different lens.
Yes, now you get it. Now you
And
know.
I emailed her
Yeah.
because I cannot, not that this is not a story that anybody wants to probably read, but now that I know this woman who is making also some beautifully sugar lemonade, she's phenomenal. And I do think that the best thing about all of that is connecting with authors. And that's what you and I get, that's what we're doing now. That's what we
We
have the
get to
pleasure of
do.
doing with other people, right? Like, yeah, it's a gift, and you're around your people who understand you.
Yes. And that transitions wonderfully into our topic today, which is theme. So we've been covering the 5 questions that every piece of content needs to address. The first one was, whose story is it? So who's your audience? Who's the protagonist of your story, which is your reader? What's happening, which is, why are they picking up this book to begin with? Why would they need to? What's at stake, which is part of it. If they don't follow your advice, why, what's going to happen to them? What's the lie, the thing that they believe that's creating this problem in their life? And then today, the theme, which is overall, and you've probably heard this in English class or something like that, but theme is the reason behind writing the book. So it's a little bit different than what's happening. What's happening is kind of the practical surface level. But the theme is really the deeper meaning. Why? What is that? Why, as an author, why did you write this book? What is your why? And you and I both have talked about this a lot. This is important. The why is so important.
It's
You have got to
directional,
do it.
and
Yes.
everything's in.
Yeah.
It's
If you don't
directional
have
in
it,
right. Well, so if it's directional in how you write the book, it's directional in how you should publish the book. And then I find your why is directional in how you market it. Like, it is in a sea of a gazillion reasons and a gazillion whys and a gazillion ways to do something. When you know your why, it will eliminate things, right? It's like those surveys that you take online, and it's like, well, it's a filter. It is your filter. It filters out,
yes.
and it helps you know the right things you need to do, right? Without it, you're just throwing spaghetti with no sticking.
That's exactly right. And so it really becomes that guiding purpose.
Yeah.
And if you're writing more than one book, it's part of the whole why behind what you're trying to do. If you're doing speaking, if you're doing curriculum or courses or anything like that, it's the thread that ties all of that together. As you have said in your latest book, when you are particularly nonfiction, but also with fiction, when you write a book, you become an authorpreneur.
Yeah.
And so it's the why behind your business. What is that important thing that you need people to know that is so important? I joke around in Eat the Elephant when I talk about this, is that, when you hear theme in English class, so, that's always an essay question. What was the theme of this book? And so my teacher would explain it as, why did the author write this book? And my big joke was, there was a kid in our class who always said, to make money, right? And I said, well, he doesn't know the publishing world really well then, because there's easier ways to make money than that, for sure. But that's not the why. Like, if that is your why, like, it's so obvious to the reader, it's going to fall flat. People just aren't going to. You probably won't even finish the book, because that's not a strong enough reason to keep you going through it.
It's not.
But if your why is, as I've been using all along, this financial metaphor, if your why is to help people find financial freedom, or if your why is to help people have better relationships so they're not having money tension, those are actually be kind of a little bit different books. And you can create a number of products off of that same why. In fiction, this is more of a challenge, but this a lot of times you'll have it as part of your author brand. So part of I like to call my author brand is Calgon Take Me Away, right? So it's escapist fiction. I write romantic suspense, and so I want people to feel like they can leave their cares and the trouble of their world behind for a while and go into another world where everything sort of gets wrapped up neatly at the end, even though it doesn't look like it at somewhere in the middle. And and even as the author, I'm like, yeah,
really, I don't know.
It all works out.
So, okay, so can I pick your brain, friend, on the fiction space? Because last week I got to take my oldest to meet one of his favorite authors. The author of The Diary of a Wimpy Kid was in town, and they had an event. Yes. And anyways, on our way, my oldest keeps talking to me about writing fiction, and I've told you randomly that maybe one day I would consider doing it. Well, we had this epiphany on what it could be. I haven't told many people, but this is whenever time allows and whenever God tells me it's time to do it, it hit me. We want to write, my son and I, a series based on, you know how cats are a big deal in our life, right?
Yes.
Personifying the cats that we've either have or that we have fostered, and telling their backstory as if they were people, and calling it something like the Redbird Chronicles, because our farm is the Redbird, and having a Redbird guide them through their life.
I love it.
Right? Do you think it's cool, or do you think it's crazy?
I love it. No, I love it. I think that's fantastic, because here's the fabulous thing about fiction is that all these lessons that can be taught that don't come off as preachy, hopefully if you do it correctly, just by the way the characters live their lives, and they work things out, and they struggle, and they come over, and your readers totally identify with that. And especially for children, I mean, you think about all the lovely, I'm thinking right now, Beatrix Potter and all of her books with all the characters, the characters that are rabbits and little jackets. And
of course, see, you're thinking of it through the children's lens. I'm thinking of it like, okay, Eli and I came up with these backstories. Like, we have one like Luna, who was here earlier. Her backstory is like really complicated, and it's got a lot of layers, and I want to write it for people like you and me. And then I told Eli, after we started to capture like the stories of Timmy, who was one of 13 kids, and the mom went and did this and lost her life, and he had to raise the kids, and these kids, it was so hard on him, and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, what am I teaching my kid? This stuff is heavy. So I don't know, we're still chewing on it, but what I found is my why for something like that. I had to connect it. What was my why? And it was a opportunity for change for people, but also within the foster scenario. So they wouldn't really be cats, but it would be this conversation of when you give, what you do, how you get to shift somebody and give them a new life.
So doing the opposite, taking cat stories and putting them on people.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes. And like, that's what I want to do. Now, Eli, I don't know. I was talking about maybe we do an angle where because he'd have more fun with the cat, but yeah, like personifying, like literally turning them in to people. And then they have this stake change, this part of their life. That's the pivot. I don't know, Jen, but I can get behind that.
Yes. See, and that's the point. When you get passion, it's what the key with the theme is, that passion. You keep asking why is this so important to you? What is the driving force? Because if you don't have that why behind you, you're just not going to do it. And so even if you're talking about something as simple as a social media post, a blog post, that why needs to come through. Absolutely. Otherwise, you're just throwing, like you said, throwing spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. You don't care about it. Your audience won't care about it because they can sense that you don't care about it. And so taking some time to spend, even though it's question number 5, in many ways, it's really question number 1 as you're sorting through how you're going to communicate and the things you're going to choose to talk about versus things you're not going to choose to talk about, all gets filtered through that theme. And so that's why it's very important to have that straight in your head. Spend some time thinking about that. And it's not to say things can't change over time. We definitely grow, develop, change, morph. as we learn and go in different directions and things like that. But if like one time you're all about fashion, and then the next time your post is all about cats, and then the next time you're talking about the books you're reading, it's really hard to grab an audience who understands what is it that you're passionate about. There's ways to put some of that stuff under umbrellas of things. But for the most part, people that are going to be following you and listening to what you have to say, they're going to be really pulled in by that why. Whether or not they can articulate what that is about, there's a certain emotion, a certain feeling behind it that they are going to be excited about. And that's what you really want to focus on.
And it's a mix of your why and why someone else will care. That's where the marketing lens comes in, right? Why would somebody buy your book? Why would someone read it? So when we talk about an investment in a book, it's more than just the purchase. We want them to read it, because a book that's not read on a shelf is sad, and sad Stephanie makes me sad, and sad Stephanie is not something you might want. So it is one of those things where it's like, if you understand your why, and if it merges with a why that is compelling enough for someone to pick it up and read it, that's where book sales will happen. That's where your business will grow. That's where beautiful things happen in the book space, and stories are fully shared and embraced.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this has been a fun series to talk about. You can find obviously all 5 questions in my LinkedIn feed. If you just go to my profile, they're all in there. You can also go to YouTube, the Tandem Services channel on YouTube. YouTube has new handles now. Did you get that little notice? It's so much easier instead of the long strings of numbers and stuff. So it's just YouTube at Tandem Services, which is fun. I'm very excited about that. So that'll be fun to play with. I'm looking forward to more fun things there. But the book I have this week, I haven't read it yet. I just got it in the mail yesterday. The Idea Factory, Bell Labs in the Great Age of American Innovation. So I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Love it.
And Jeremy Utley, he was on John Acuff's podcast, and he was also on Jeff Brown's Read to Lead podcast. And, both of those podcasters, I love them because they always ask their guests, what are top books that you recommend? And then I get out my little Amazon wish list and I add all of them to it. And this one and then as I finish something like a goal with my book or whatever, I order a book. I mean, my to be read pile is pretty huge. So I don't really know why I'm getting more books. But
well, I was going to say, every time you turn around, you have a new book.
I've got a new book. But isn't it cool? I mean, the Idea Factory. How could I resist a book called The Idea Factory? So I'm very excited. So the whole conversation lately was on both those podcasts was about creativity and where do ideas come from. And so all of the books that they recommended were about people who were very creative and innovative and all that kind of stuff. And so I love the idea as authors that we read outside of our industry and our specialty and things like that we pull ideas from other places. So I mean, Bell Labs, that's technology, right? And that's not writing. But I'm super, super curious about how they innovated and how they came up with creativity and ideas. I think that stuff is transferable all over the place. So I'm really
I can't wait for you to tell me all about it, and then I get on my TBR list.
I know.
I have a growing list of all the books Ben tells me about.
So I'm hoping, so this is my goal. Like, again, today would be a perfect day to sit and read if I could do that, but not right now. But
you're just going to sit and write because you've got a book coming out that other people need to sit and read.
Well, and once the book is out, my life will open up a lot better. So next week will not look so stressful.
The end is near, Jen. It is near.
It is getting there. It is getting there. So we haven't discussed what we're going to talk about next week, but it will be exciting.
I have an idea.
Okay.
I have an idea. Yes. So we will be, actually, I just jotted it down. We are heading into the holiday season where is a time for businesses and individuals to reflect on the year and look at next year. So I am proposing, Jen, that we do a season. We do we'll call it a season. Several of our discussions on planning for next year for those authors, and whether it's to write your book, whether it is to publish it, whether it is to market it, and whether it is to build and grow a business from it. So I think we should take that as a guide.
That is fantastic because there's a lot of places we can go with that and unpack that. And this is a really good time you want to start thinking, I mean, we're in November. Oh my word, how did we get here? You don't want to wait till the end of December to plan for next year. You really want to be thinking now, because we all know if we don't block things out on our calendar, other people's priorities take over and they crowd that out.
Exactly.
So if we're going to make this a priority this year, then
Exactly.
we need to block it out. So I'm excited about that.
Okay, cool.
Well,
We're pumped too.
yes, it's very cool. All right. Well, authors, your words have power, your book has power, and so does your message. And so we're inviting you to take that message to the page and beyond with me and Stephanie. And we're so excited to see what next year is going to have in store for you. That's going to be a fantastic thing. So we're looking forward to that.
Y'all have a
All
good
right,
day.
everyone. Have a great day. Hope it's not raining where you're at, or maybe like you're in California and you need the rain. Okay, we'll go with it. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.